This is the Millionaire Fastlane by DeMarco, distilled and visualized.
Imagine you're 85 years old. You finally have it. The millions in the bank, the luxury house on the coast, and the supercar in the driveway. But there's a catch. You're in a wheelchair. You're on a dozen prescriptions, and you're too tired to even drive that car to the grocery store. This is what society calls success. They call it get rich slow, but I call it wealth in a wheelchair. The great deception. We've all been sold a lie. It sounds like this: go to college, get good grades, get a safe job, save 10% of your paycheck and invest in the stock market. Then, if the economy doesn't crash and you don't die first, you'll be rich by the time you're 65. But think about the 22-year-old kid on MTV Cribs with the $20 million mansion in the Ferrari. Did he get there by clipping coupons and maximizing his 401k? Of course not. That scenario is laughable because we know that get rich slow is a losing game where your life is the gamble. The 90 seconds that changed everything. My journey didn't start in a boardroom. It started as a chubby teenager in Chicago who was obsessed with the Lamborghini Countach. One day, I saw one in an ice cream shop parking lot. I expected the owner to be an old man with a receding hairline. Instead, out walked a guy in his mid-20s wearing an Iron Maiden shirt. I gathered my courage and asked, "How can you afford a car like this?" His answer was only 2 words: "I'm an inventor." That 90-second encounter shattered my reality. I realized I didn't need to be a famous athlete or a movie star to be rich and young. I just needed to be a producer. The roadblocks and the blizzard. But the road wasn't easy. After college, I was a failure. I lived with my mother and bounced through ego-crippling jobs, delivering pizzas, flowers, and newspapers. My friends were getting 3% raises at corporate jobs, while I was falling into a deep depression, hearing my mom yell, "Get a job, baby," 20 times a week. The breaking point happened during a frigid Chicago blizzard. I was driving a limo. My shoes were soaked with melted snow, and I had a piercing migraine. I pulled to the shoulder of a dark road and let out an epic groan. In that moment of silence, a realization hit me like a falling piano. You cannot live another day like this. I decided to take control. I packed my Buick, took my $900, and escaped to Phoenix. The birth of the money tree. Living on a mattress in a tiny studio apartment, I focused. I had built a website for the limo industry, but I was still selling my time for money by doing web design. Then a friend noticed my inbox was exploding with emails from people looking for limo rides. He said, "Dude, turn those emails into money." I invented a lead generation model. Instead of selling my time, I built a system that made money while I slept. I had planted a money tree. By age 33, I was a multi-millionaire. I bought the Lamborghini. I retired at age 37 with an 8-figure net worth where work is now optional. The choice is yours. Change can happen in an instant if you decide to stop following the masses. You can settle for mediocrity and a wealthy retirement in a nursing home, or you can switch to the fast lane. The road to wealth isn't just a road, it's a road trip that requires a new formula, a new vehicle, and the courage to drive. Part 2. Most people treat wealth like a destination, a beautiful, sun-drenched beach they can just arrive at. But if you treat wealth like a destination and ignore the journey, you're going to end up like my friends and me back in college. The smoking Dodge Duster. We were heading from Chicago to Florida for spring break. We were obsessed with the destination, the booze, the beaches, the parties. We were so focused on getting there that we ignored the vehicle. 8 hours in, our old Dodge Duster started billowing smoke in the middle of a southern Illinois cornfield. We were stalled, surrounded by the smell of manure, miles away from the ocean. This is exactly how most people pursue wealth. They see the sugar, the big house, the supercar, but they forget that wealth is a road trip, not just a road. If you disregard the tools, your engine will redline, your oil will burn, and you'll spend decades on a detour to nowhere. Process versus event. Here is the secret the media doesn't want you to know. Millionaires are forged by process, not by events. When you see a 20-year-old sell his internet company for $50 million, you're seeing an event. What you don't see is the process, the 3 years of coding in a dark garage, the $40,000 in credit card debt, and the rusty Toyota with 174,000 miles he drove while building it. Wealth doesn't stand on your porch with a giant refrigerator-sized check. It's a well-engineered execution. If you try to skip the process, you will never experience the event. The elevator to success is out of order. You have to take the stairs. The winning formula. To survive this road trip, you need 4 specific ingredients. 1. Your roadmap. This is your financial belief system. Most people are using a map that leads to a dead end. 2. Your vehicle. The vehicle is you. You have to be the one to drive. No one is going to chauffeur you to a Ferrari. 3. Your roads. These are the career or business paths you travel. Not all roads are built for speed. 4. Your speed. This is execution. You can sit in a Ferrari, but if you don't hit the accelerator, you stay idle. The toll roads. Expect a price to be paid. The road to wealth isn't a straight, tree-lined street with white picket fences. It's a dark, deserted, unpaved road full of potholes. If you resist the toll, the risk, the sacrifice, and the hard work, wealth will resist you. This trip cannot be outsourced to a virtual assistant in the Philippines. You have to feel the bumps. You have to grow through the process to become the person who can actually handle the event. Choose your map. Your roadmap is the most important tool you have because your choices determine your life. If you want to change your results, you have to change your map. There are only 3 maps you can follow. The sidewalk, which leads to poverty, the slow lane, which leads to mediocrity, and the fast lane, which leads to wealth. Which one are you holding right now? Because where you're going depends entirely on the map in your hands. Part 3. You're driving a brand new German sedan, wearing a $500 pair of jeans and posting photos from a VIP lounge. To the world, you look like a success, but inside, you're terrified. Why? Because you are one event away from the gutter. Welcome to the sidewalk, the road most traveled and the one that leads straight to poverty. The one something rule. A sidewalker exists in a permanent state of one something from broke, one layoff, one business deal gone bad, one accident without insurance, one, and the whole house of cards collapses. On the sidewalk, you aren't building a future, you're mortgaging it for a pleasurable today. The sidewalk doesn't have an exit ramp to wealth, only a sign that says dead end. It's a financial treadmill where you run faster and faster just to stay in the same place. The poisoned equation. Every sidewalker follows a specific mathematical formula, whether they know it or not. Wealth equals income plus debt. They think that if they make more money, their problems will vanish. But the sidewalk is money blind. You've seen the headlines. The famous rapper making $400,000 a month who gets denied a $60,000 loan because his credit is trash and he's flat broke. You cannot medicate poor money management with more money. If you can't live on $40,000 a year, you won't be able to live on $400,000 because your needs will simply grow to swallow the difference. Lifestyle servitude, the thief of happiness. Society has defined normal for you. Waking up at 6 a.m., working a job you tolerate, and buying things you can't afford on credit to impress people you don't like. This is lifestyle servitude. It's the 30K millionaire, the guy posing in front of a leased Lamborghini while his bank account is on life support. We've been trained to believe wealth is stuff, the cars, the jewelry, the designer clothes, but real wealth is the wealth trinity: family, fitness, and freedom. When you buy faux wealth, the stuff you can't afford, you destroy the very freedom that defines real wealth. You become a slave to your own possessions. The 3 anchors of poverty. Why do people stay on the sidewalk? Because they are held down by 3 heavy anchors. 1, the belief in luck. They think wealth is a lottery win or a lucky break, so they never bother with a process. 2, the event obsession. They seek big hits, the crypto moonshot or the easy 1-2-3 system, instead of doing the work. 3, the wealth chauffeur. They believe someone else, the government, a guru, or a wealthy relative, will drive them to the finish line. The law of victims. The final mark of a sidewalker is the external locus of control. They live under a dark cloud of theys. They laid me off. They raised my rent. They cheated me. The law of victims is simple. You cannot be a victim if you do not relinquish power to someone capable of making you one. Responsibility is the first step to the driver's seat. Accountability is the final one. If you want to escape the sidewalk, you have to stop blaming the system and start looking in the mirror. Your life is the sum of your choices, and if you want different results, you need a different roadmap. Part 4. You think you're being responsible. You went to college, got the good job, and you're diligently putting 10% into your 401k. You've swapped the $10 latte for a bag lunch, and you're waiting for the magic of compound interest to turn you into a millionaire. But I have a question for you. How much is your soul worth? Because the road you're on isn't the path to wealth, it's a contract for mediocrity. Welcome to the slow lane. The 5-for-2 trade. The slow lane is a get-rich-slow plan that asks you to trade your youth for a faint promise of freedom in your twilight years. It's built on a horrific mathematical return, the 5-for-2 trade. You give away 5 days of work bondage in exchange for 2 days of weekend freedom. In any other investment, a negative 60% return would be seen as a total failure, yet we've been brainwashed to accept this as normal. On Friday night, the world celebrates because they're finally being paid their dividends in the currency of Saturday and Sunday. But while you're out trading 5-for-2, the years pass, your children grow up, and your dreams are put on life support. The criminal trade, your job. The nucleus of the slow lane is the job. Society calls it security, but the fast lane calls it human domestication. A job is a criminal trade because you're selling your life to buy the paper that grants you freedom later. When you have a job, you have zero control. You're sitting in the bed of a pickup truck while someone else, your boss, the CEO, the government, is in the driver's seat. You can't demand a 1,000% raise, and you can't stop a pink slip from derailing your entire life. The warden of wealth. Why won't the slow lane ever make you rich? Because it is rooted in uncontrollable limited leverage. The slow lane equation is wealth equals job plus market investments. Both variables are broken. Your intrinsic value, your salary, is capped by the 24 hours in a day. You can't work 400 hours in a day, and you can't work 10,000 years. And then there's the guru's favorite, compound interest. They tell you $1,000 today will be millions in 40 years. What they don't tell you is that in 40 years you might be dead, and thanks to inflation, that million might only buy you a used Toyota Camry. The hypocrisy of the gurus. You've seen them on TV and on your podcast feeds. They tell you to dollar cost average and save your pennies. But look closer. This is the paradox of practice. Are these gurus rich because they followed their own advice and invested in mutual funds for 40 years? Or are they rich because they used the fast lane to sell millions of books to people like you? The rich use the stock market to preserve wealth, not to create it. The gamble of hope. The slow lane isn't a plan, it's a gamble of hope. Hope you live long enough to retire. Hope the company doesn't lay you off. Hope the stock market doesn't crash by 50% the year before you want to quit. If your road to wealth takes decades and is controlled by factors you can't manipulate, you're not driving, you're a hitchhiker. Wealth is best lived young, with health, vibrancy, and energy. It's time to stop settling for a comfortable retirement in a nursing home and start looking for the exit ramp.
Part 5. You've explored the sidewalk and the slow lane. One leads to poverty, the other leads to mediocrity. But there is a door number 3. It's a hybrid financial roadmap that can slash 40 years off your journey to freedom. Welcome to the fast lane. The fast lane strategy. The fast lane is not a get-rich-easy scheme. It is a business and lifestyle strategy that swaps uncontrollable limited leverage for controllable unlimited leverage, CUL. While the world tells you get rich quick is a scam, the truth is it exists for those who follow a specific process. It's the difference between a long-shot lottery win and building a system that gives you a 14% chance of making $15 million in just 6 years. Switch teams. Become a producer. Most people are born into team consumer. They are trained to want, buy, and seek the cheapest products. To win, you must become a slow lane trader and join team producer. Applied, this means instead of buying products on TV, sell them. Instead of taking a class, offer one. Instead of borrowing money, lend it. When you reorient your brain to see the world through the eyes of a producer, opportunities become crystal clear. Producers get rich, consumers get poor. The explosive equation. The rich don't get rich through compound interest on a $50 monthly savings plan. They use the fast lane wealth equation. Wealth equals net profit plus asset value. In this universe, your variables are unlimited. In a job, your income is capped by 24 hours in a day. In a fast lane business, your units sold can reach millions. If you can sell a product to 12,000 people a day instead of selling 12 hours of your life, you aren't just making money, you're accelerating wealth. When you increase your net profit, your business's asset value explodes simultaneously by a factor of the industry multiple. Divorce wealth from time, the money tree. If your income is attached to your time, you have a job. The fast lane objective is to create a business system that survives without you, a money tree. There are 5 specific seedlings you can plant to grow this tree. 1. Rental systems, real estate, licenses, and patents. 2. Computer/software systems. The internet works 24/7 and is the most potent interstate. 3. Content systems, books, blogs, and videos that survive time. 4. Distribution systems, franchising, chaining, or using huge platforms like Amazon. 5. Human resource systems, people who run your business, though they are the most expensive and difficult to manage. The law of effection. The ultimate secret to wealth is a mathematical law, the law of effection. It states that the more lives you affect in scale or magnitude in an entity you control, the richer you will become. Impact millions and you will make millions. You can do this through scale, selling 20 million pens for a small profit, or magnitude, providing a high-impact service like an apartment complex for 400 families. If you can combine both, you don't just make millions, you make billions.
Recruit your army. Finally, Fastlaners use money differently. They don't save just to be safe. They save to recruit an army of freedom fighters. Every dollar you save is a soldier that fights for your freedom by earning passive income. While the slow lane uses compound interest to get rich over 40 years, the fast lane uses it to stay rich and create liquidity. Stop chasing money and start chasing needs. When you solve problems for others, the money doesn't just follow, it magnetizes to you.
Part 6.
You have the map, you know the roads, you've even seen the destination, but you are forgetting the most important piece of the entire journey, the vehicle. And that vehicle is you. You can have a map to a gold mine, but if your car is a rusted-out wreck with no fuel, you aren't going anywhere. Own yourself first. The first step in taking charge of your vehicle is to actually own it. You've heard the gurus say, pay yourself first. But if you have a job, that is a mathematical impossibility. Look at your paycheck. The government takes their cut before you even see a dime. To truly pay yourself first and the government last, you must own your vehicle through a corporation like an LLC, S-Corp, or C-Corp. This structure is the frame of your fast lane business that survives time separate from your own life. The steering wheel of choice. Now, grab the steering wheel. Your life today is the sum result of every choice you have ever made, both consciously and unconsciously. People don't suddenly fall into poverty. They assemble it, one poor decision at a time. Be terrified of treasonous choices, decisions like street racing, a DUI, or partnering with a crook. These create downside asymmetric risk events, or dares, that can erase 1,000 good decisions in a single second and leave your journey in a permanent wreck. Your choices have horsepower, especially when you're young. 1 degree turn today can change your destination by 1,000 miles 10 years from now. Wipe your windshield clean. Is your windshield dirty? If you choose to perceive wealth as impossible or for other people, you have already lost. Your choices of perception drive your choices of action. Stop saying, "I'll try," and start saying, "I will." If you're waffling on a big decision, stop guessing and use the tools. Worst case consequence analysis, or WCCA. Ask what the worst outcome is, its probability, and if it's an acceptable risk. WADM, weighted average decision matrix. Quantify your big life choices to find the better path. And for heaven's sake, get your eyes off the rearview mirror. The universe doesn't care about your past, and neither should you. Deodorize foul headwinds. Expect a constant headwind from society. They've been conditioned to believe normal is being 2 paychecks from broke. Watch out for bloviators, the haters and dream stealers who tell you it won't work. If your environment is a hurricane-force headwind, like a depressing city or a soul-crushing job, turn your back on it and move. Check your passenger seat. The people in your life are like your comrades in a battle platoon. They can either save you or destroy you. A partner who doesn't share your vision is like towing a trailer of wet manure. It's time to evaluate who's riding with you. Your primordial fuel is time. What's in your gas tank? It's time, the only fuel that matters. Most people value their life at 0. They will wait in line for 3 hours just to get a free $6 bucket of chicken. They live as if they're immortal, but time is deadly scarce, while money is richly abundant. Stop trading your free time to pay for parasitic debt, like fancy cars or clothes you bought to impress people you don't even like. Every dollar you save is a freedom fighter in your army, fighting to buy your time back. Change your oil. To keep the engine running, you must change your oil, which is your education, but forget everything you learned in school. Fastlane education isn't about raising your intrinsic value for a boss, it's about building your system. Don't use the excuse, "I don't know how." In the age of the internet, knowledge is free and infinite. Enroll in Life University. Learn while you drive, while you exercise, or even while you're sitting on the toilet. If you aren't reading a book a week, you're letting your oil go stale. Hit the red line.
Finally, it's time to hit the red line. There's a massive difference between being interested in wealth and being committed to it. Interest reads the book. Commitment applies it 50 times. Winners are forged at the red line, where you do what most people won't, so you can eventually live unlike anyone else. Stop waiting for someday. Someday is a dream killer that traps you in Nowheresville. There is no perfect time, and the traffic lights of life will never all be green at once.
Part 7. You've tuned the vehicle, you've grabbed the steering wheel, but now you face the most critical choice of your life. Which road are you going to drive? Because if you pick a road with a speed limit of 15 miles an hour, it doesn't matter if you're driving a Ferrari, you are never hitting 200. Welcome to the Roads to Wealth. This is where we separate the hobbyist entrepreneurs from the fast lane legends. The $0 crossroads. Back in my mid-20s, I was at a crossroads. I was offered a limousine company for $0 down. To most people, that sounds like a dream, but I ran my weighted average decision matrix and realized something that would change my life. That road was a dead end. It failed the fast lane test because it didn't have scale. It only served one small neighborhood, and it was tethered to my time. I turned it down to drive the internet interstate instead. Here is how you can tell if your road is a highway to freedom or a dirt path to poverty. The sense framework. To reach the law of affection, to impact millions and make millions, your road must pass the sense test. If your business violates these 5 commandments, you aren't an entrepreneur. You just bought a job. 1. Control. Are you the driver or a hitchhiker? If you join an MLM or an affiliate program where someone else can flip a switch and kill your income, you are a passenger. Drivers make the legendary money, passengers get the leftovers. 2. Entry. If getting into business is as simple as buying a $200 kit, you have 0 entry barriers. When a road is crowded with everyone, there is no movement. Real business is a process, not an event like signing up on a website. 3. Need. This is the big one. The world is selfish. Nobody cares about your passion or your why. They care about what you can do for them. Stop chasing money and start chasing needs. Solve a problem for 1 million people and the money will magnetize to you. 4. Time. Can your business work while you sleep? If your income is attached to your presence, you've built a prison. You need a money tree, a system that survives time, exclusive of your time. 5. Scale. Is your habitat a local pool or a global ocean? If you sell sandwiches on Main Street, your scale is capped by the neighborhood. To get rich, you need leverage, reach millions of people, or have a massive profit per unit. The 3 interstates. The fastest routes to wealth are the 3 I's. The internet, the ultimate fast lane because it naturally scales globally and works 24/7. Innovation, not just new inventions, but value skews, taking an old sucky product and making it better. Intentional iteration, taking a singles-based business like a deli and cookie-cutting it through franchising or chaining to hit a home run. Find your open road. You don't need a breakthrough idea. You just need to listen for the road noise. When you hear people say, "I hate," or "this frustrates me," or "why is it like this?" that is opportunity ringing your doorbell. You don't need to be the first. You just need to be better. Do it better than the guy who doesn't answer his emails or the company that treats customers like an inconvenience. The destination. Finally, give your road a destination. What is your escape number? Don't just guess. Calculate exactly what your dream life costs, the house, the travel, the freedom, then break it down into daily targets. But remember, you cannot drive this road if you're financially illiterate. You must know the rules of interest, taxes, and economics, or you'll be a Ferrari driver who doesn't know how to shift gears. The road is open. The commandments are clear.
It's time to hit the accelerator.
The final part. You've seen the car. You've admired the top speed of 220 miles per hour. But here is the cold, hard truth. That speed is just a number on a dial until someone hits the accelerator. Everything we've talked about, the roadmaps, the math, the money trees, it's all just potential speed. Welcome to Part 8, Your Speed. This is where we stop talking and start driving. Execution is king, ideas are pawns. Most people treat their big idea like it's a bar of gold they have to hide from thieves. They ask for non-disclosure agreements before they'll even whisper it. But in the fast lane, ideas are nothing but neurological flatulence. Everyone had the idea for Facebook. Everyone had the idea for a better search engine. The difference? Execution. An idea is a pawn, a minor piece that requires little effort to move. Execution is the king, the piece that actually wins the game. A brilliant idea with zero execution is worth exactly $1, but a mediocre idea with brilliant execution, that is worth millions. Chess, not checkers. Most business owners play checkers. They have one move, price. They try to be the cheapest, and they end up in a race to the bottom. Fast laners play chess. You treat every part of your business like a strategic piece. The queen is your marketing. The bishop is your customer service. The rook is your people. The king is your execution. If you want to win, you have to move them all in sync. The internal roadmap, the black book. Forget the 150-page business plan. The world is going to trash that plan the second you launch anyway. My real roadmap was a little black book where I wrote down every single customer complaint. Complaints aren't nuisances, they are road noise telling you where the needs are. When a customer says, "I hate this," or "I wish your service did that," they're handing you a map to a gold mine. The power of sucks. Customer service today usually sucks. That's your opportunity. When you provide sucks, superior, unexpected customer service, you violate your customers' low expectations in a positive way. When my web hosting provider fixed an issue in 10 minutes instead of 2 days, I didn't just stay a customer, I became a disciple. I started selling for them for free. When you provide sucks, your customers become an army of free human resource systems who advertise for you while you sleep. Monogamy over polygamy. I see so many serial entrepreneurs who suffer from Tekel syndrome. They have 5 different businesses and all of them are failing. They think that by tossing enough stuff at the wall, something will stick. Fast lane success requires monogamy. You have to eat, sleep, and breathe one business until it hits the stratosphere. You can be polygamous with your investments only after you sold that one company for millions. The supercharger wrap-up. To win, you need to bolt on the fast lane supercharger. 1. Formula. Wealth is a process, not an event. 2. Admit. Get rich slow is a losing bet. 3. Stop and swap. Switch from consumer to producer. 4. Time. Invest in what buys your freedom back. 5. Affection. Impact millions to make millions. The someday trap. Someday is a dream killer. Someday I'll start the business. Someday when the kids are older. Someday when I have more money. The traffic lights of life will never all be green at once. If you wait for the perfect time, you'll be 85 years old looking at that Lamborghini in your wheelchair, wondering what could have been. The garage door is open, the road is waiting. Hit the accelerator. If you enjoyed this visual journey through the Millionaire Fastlane, consider adding the full book to your shelf. You can find a link to purchase DeMarco's book in the description below. Using that link directly supports the channel and helps us continue transforming the world's greatest titles into cinematic experiences. If these insights shifted your perspective, please like this video and subscribe to the visual chapter. Our mission is to turn your watch list into a library, one frame at a time. Don't forget to share this visual book with friends or family who are ready to exit the slow lane. Thank you for watching.